Sound like some Viking music, don't it?
Yeah, gotta get it out the mud, that's the only way to win. Who am I to point the finger like I never ever seen? Been through the ups and downs like the letter N. They don't let you through the door, better kick that again. Cause that's the only way to win. That's the only way to go. Gotta get it out the mud, gotta get it out the flow. Cause that's the only way to go, let's go.
Shoot, lights out.
Ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing today on this Friday, March 8th, 2024? I am back in the building. The Playmakers here. And hey, I gave y'all a hint that I might be doing a show today when I did the show Wednesday. And so, and lo and behold, guess who's here? I'm here. Man, we got some more basketball stuff to talk about. Got a lot of news and notes. So I got a pretty lengthy around the hardwood coming up. Gotta talk about the NBA, some stuff happening in the NBA, some more stuff to look forward to and whatnot. Gotta update you on the ladies tournament, the ladies conference tournament, and some stuff happening. We might be having an upset happening within the next 10 to 15 minutes out in the Big Ten. Keep you updated on that, and plus we're gonna close it out with some men's college basketball because it is the final weekend for the men's college basketball before they go into their conference tournament. So without further ado, I have a lot of news and notes from around the hardwood, so let's get right into it. Starting off, the Houston Cougars clinch a share of the Big Ten title. Now, they didn't officially win the Big Ten regular season title, but they clinched a share of the Big Ten regular season title. So no matter what happens this weekend, they will at least be a part of winning the Big 12 in their first year in the Big 12, and they already are here clinching a share of a title already. Big ups to Kevin Sumlin and the Houston Cougars. Proud of that. But as we go further along, as we dive into the college basketball segment, you will see what would take place for the Cougars to win it outright. And who else has a chance to clinch a share of the Big 12 title? So shout out to the Crews. They clinched a share of the Big 12 title in their first year in the Big 12. Speaking of clinching, the Tennessee Volunteers went to Columbia, South Carolina on Tuesday night, knocked off the Gamecocks to outright win the Southeastern Conference. First title since 2018. We're talking 6 years ago. Shout out to the Volunteers, who's probably been one of the most consistent teams in the Southeastern Conference because it's been tough. You got Tennessee, you got Kentucky, Alabama, Florida's been doing some good in there. But it's nice to see Tennessee. They win it outright. So they will be the 1 seed going into Nashville for the Southeastern Conference tournament. So they'll be the 1 seed going in. I got some more college basketball news for you. Mike Wilson coming back to the Hoosiers to coach the Indiana Hoosiers. He's been doing a fairly good job up in Indiana. So he will be returning. He didn't get a contract extension, but he will be returning to Indiana for at least another year from what I understand, for at least another year. So he'll be back for another year to coach the Indiana Hoosiers. So good job for Mike Wilson. Hopefully he gets a contract extension because he's been doing a fairly good job with that team. So moving to our next news and notes. Oh, man. San Diego State coach Brian Ditcher signs contract extension. Greatly deserved. He got it Aztecs to the national championship last season before they got blown to bits by UConn, but didn't get blown to bits by UConn in the NCAA tournament. That's pretty much been happening ever since conference play happened last season. But he deserves it. They did come off an upset loss last week to UNLV. Me and Cole Johnson talked about it on Wednesday show. They came off a loss against UNLV. Nevertheless, it's been fun, watching the Aztecs play ball. But They get their coach with a contract extension. So they get their coach with a contract extension, but not does the small college of Detroit Mercy, who part ways with Mike Davis. They went 1-31. I didn't even know you can only win one game in college basketball. You play 32 games, you can only win one game. Dude, that's terrible. They go 1-31 in a whole season. In 32 games, you can only win one game in 32 games in basketball. We're talking basketball here. This ain't football when we know one team that's superior than the other teams and one team that's suck against everybody else. This is basketball. You cannot only win one game in basketball. Somehow Detroit Mercy did. They only won one game. So yeah, something had to change. Okay, you just can't win one game in the season. That's just not in basketball. We're talking basketball here. Okay, you at least play twice, maybe 3 times in a week. You can't win one of them games. All them games you didn't play all Division I teams. I mean, you didn't play the powerhouse all 32 games. They didn't include conference. They didn't conference play. Like you was losing in conference play too. Like you are the absolute worst team. That don't make sense. Oh man, that is crazy. I don't know. Like one game, one. Jeez. Gotta give me something more than just this one game. One game? That's terrible. All right, this is terrible. But let me continue on. I got a quick news from the ladies' side. Team Pow is returning to South Carolina for her senior season. That is very good for Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Gamecock. But man, what they are doing right now, that's gonna be a problem. Powell's returning for senior year. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, look out. And then let's go to the NBA real quick. 2027, the All-Star game is heading to the Valley, to Phoenix, Arizona. We'll see if Kevin Durant still be a part of the Phoenix around that time with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. But in 3 years' time, 3 years, the Phoenix Suns will be hosting the All-Star game. That is coming off the heels of the All-Star game being in Indianapolis. I think word is it's going to be in Vegas next year, or in LA. One, them two, or likely two that's going to be it next year. I don't know. But man, shout out to Phoenix. They get an All-Star game in 3 years. Speaking of the NBA and top stars, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of injuries to report here going now in the NBA. LeBron James says he'll be all right after injuring his ankle against the Sacramento Kings and a beatdown of the Kings. LeBron James is questionable for their next game, which is tonight against the Bucks. That will be interesting to see if LeBron James can suit up and be ready to go against the Bucks tonight. That's going to be an interesting one. On a Mo news front, we talking Victor Wembanyama also has an ankle sprain. He'll be likely out against the Warriors. Okay, that game, I believe that game's tonight as well. So no Wembanyama, most likely no Wembanyama for the Spurs against the Warriors. And speaking of the Warriors, Steph Curry is questionable for that game as well, as they get set to face the San Antonio Spurs when he is coming off an ankle injury and they last outing. So that should be interesting to see enough. I believe that game, not take that back. I think that game is Saturday. I'll double check to make sure when that game is. But the two star players for both teams, Wembanyama for the Spurs and Curry for the Warriors, both are questionable, unlikely to play in their team's matchup. So that's interesting. On a more serious news note, the Minnesota Timberwolves would not have Karl-Anthony Towns for at least a month. They're saying he's going to have surgery on a torn meniscus, and the team is going to reevaluate him within 4 weeks. That's a big blow to the Minnesota Timberwolves, especially around this time. You know, we still in the early part of March, so you're talking about around mid-April when they probably can know if they're gonna get Cat back and have Karl-Anthony Towns back on the court with Anthony Edwards and Woody Gobert, Mike Conley, because that team is rolling, especially what Anthony Edwards did yesterday, which I would get into when we talk NBA. But man, having Karl-Anthony Towns out, that could okay, could be problematic. Could be all right. Could be problematic. And to finish off around the hardwood, ladies and gentlemen, Ben Simmons is out for the rest of the season with ongoing back issues. Within the 7 years or 8 years that Ben Simmons has been in the NBA, he has played 332 games. He has missed 242 games, which that number is going to go up now that he's out for the rest of this season. So that's a lot of games to be missed. He is about 50-50 in games played and games missed, which is a lot of games missed, all right? So I get it. When the back goes, that's it. I don't have back problems before, and you can't move at times when your back is hurt. You can't move. You can't even move. You can't even get up. You can't do nothing. So with this man continuously having back issues, we need to figure something out here, because I know how it feels to have back issues. I'm pretty sure a lot of people understand to have back issues, and you're an athlete. So like, if there's gonna be times you just can't get out of bed because your back is killing you. But whatever's going on with Ben Simmons, we need to figure it out, because this is a trend. This is a very, and I do mean very, unfavorable trend for Ben Simmons and those in the Brooklyn Nets organization right now, that they can't seem to get Ben Simmons to stay on the court for long periods of time. We just hope and pray that we figure something out here, that people can find some answers, and so we can get Ben Simmons on the court to play ball, which is what he wanted to do. So we'll see if we can figure it out, or maybe Ben Simmons hangs it up. Ben Simmons says, you know what? I don't like going through this every season, every year, so I'm just going to call it quits, hang it up. We don't know. We just don't know, but something needs to be figured out here. That's all I'm saying. All right? That's it for Around the Hardwood. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here, and then when we come back, I'm going to dive into the National Basketball Association. You feel me? We'll be back.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Cowboys Talk.
The Dallas Cowboys got exactly what they deserved. Let me say that one more time, because you know it's true. The Dallas Cowboys got exactly what they deserved.
Dak Prescott is overrated and he shouldn't be paid, okay? And the same thing with Pollard. I mean, Pollard breaking the tackles at that 57-yard touchdown run. I mean, we needed that beautiful. Big time.
33 points in the fourth quarter. Let me say that again. 33 points in the fourth quarter. And that's off of 4 turnovers committed by the Colts. See, at one point, and the fact that at the end of the third quarter, it was 21-19, and the final score was 54-19. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, that is completely unexpected.
Cowboys Talk is available on all streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Shooting the Lights Out. All right, we got Around the Hardwood out the way. Let's jump into the association. Shattery, let's go ahead. Let's talk about the National Basketball Association. It's not going to be very long. It's going to be very quick here. You know, when we talk basketball, we just got some results from yesterday. Those of you don't understand what happened, Dallas Mavericks took down the Miami Heat 114-108. That was the opening game on TNT last night. Luka Doncic with another 35-point triple-double. His fourth 35-point triple-double and his fifth consecutive 30-point triple-doubles. This man is a triple-double machine right now. And until last night, all the other 30-point triple-doubles that Luka Doncic had, the Mavs lost. This one, they actually won. And, I mean, when Luka Doncic had a shot, Luka Doncic made a shot in the corner. With the shot clock running down, he caught the ball. It was like 2 seconds on the clock. He shot it up there over Kenyon Martin, and it went in. And I'm just sitting there like, what can you do? Like, it was perfect defense. The Heat ran the clock down, forced Dallas into a heroic shot by Luka Doncic. Kenyon Martin's in his face. He's right there, and it just goes in. And it's like, I knew at that moment, and it was late part of the fourth quarter, and I knew at that moment, I was like, yeah, Dallas going to win this game because there was crazy shots like that's going in. I mean, ain't nothing much Miami can do about it. It is what it is. And yeah, man, Luka, he's doing his thing. I can see why people want to put him in the MVP race, even though his team is like, I want to say his team is in the 6th or 7th spot in the West. But yeah, Luka's doing what he can do to keep this team afloat. A 35th win of the season, keeping them afloat in the play-in spot / playoff spot. So shout out to him. From Dallas to Indiana, where the Minnesota Timberwolves snuck out of there with a 2-point victory, 113-111. Anthony Edwards. 44 points from Anthony Edwards. And then a highlight of the night where he misses his second free throw, which kept a 2-point lead, and his ability to run the floor, jump as high as he could with his head hitting the rim to block the shot, and that's how the game ends. That man, we keep trying to figure out when LeBron James, Steph Curry, and them hang up, who's going to be the faces of the league. Dude, I don't see how Ant-Man is not on that list. Ant-Man, he just might be. Jason Tatum want to be the face of the league, but he getting the push from Anthony Edwards, because when you can make plays like that and you are willing to make plays like that, dude, you put yourself in prime position to be the face of the next of the NBA after LeBron and Steph them leave. Because who's hustling like Anthony Edwards to make a block like that to win the game during the regular season, by the way? Like, they could have let dude make the layup, go in overtime, say, we got 5 minutes to put them away. Anthony Edwards said, no, I'm going home now. I want to get out of Indiana now. And he did that. I got to give him credit. That dude, that block there was tremendous. I loved it. I loved the fight from Anthony Edwards. And if he can keep them at the number 1 seed with Carter Towns out, man, who knows what's gonna look like for the Minnesota Timberwolves going into the playoffs. Speaking of playoffs, could this been a finals matchup, a preview of the NBA finals to come? Because the Boston Celtics, the team with the best record in the league, took the trip to face the defending champs. That was the second doubleheader on TNT against the Denver Nuggets. What a game. 115-109, the champs won. Jokic with another triple-double. Just prayed away. Highlights upon highlights from Aaron Gordon, especially the put-back dunk. Oh, my goodness. Y'all need to go back and watch the highlight and watch when Jokic misses and Aaron Gordon catches it off the rim and throws it down like, yo. I mean, you can't do nothing. There's nothing else you can say. Like, Boston might have the best record, but here come the defending champs. How you gonna beat Denver 4 times? That's pretty much my question. How you gonna beat Denver 4 times? Because I don't see it. If you can see how you can beat Denver 4 times in the series, let me know, because I don't see it. I literally don't see it. You have Jokic. Jamal Murray makes it even harder. And now you got Michael Porter Jr., who is finding his touch from the 3-point line. That is certain that if they have 3 guys that can score 20 points, how you gonna beat that team? That's all I want to know. That is all I want to know. If Michael Porter becomes that third wood that can put 20 points up per game, how you gonna beat them? He only had 9 last night, but they ain't needed. Jokic 32, 12, and 11. Murray only had 19, 6, and 8. I mean, KCP gave you 11. Watson gave you 11 off the bench. Aaron Gordon gave you 16 and 9. I mean, this is a free-flowing team. Now, Jason Tatum, I did just talk about Jason Tatum, say he wanted to be the face of the league. When you trying to be the face of the league, Jason Tatum, you can't sit here with 15 points, 5 for 13 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3-point range with only 4 rebounds and 8 assists. Okay? When you want to be the face of the league, you got to bring it night in, night out, all 82 games. Okay? You got to bring it, man. You didn't bring it last night. Jaylen Brown brought it. Jaylen Brown had 41 points with 14 rebounds. Jaylen Brown was trying. Kristaps Porzingis, 24 points with 12 rebounds. But the leader of the team, if they do have a leader of the team, or should I say the face of the team is Jason Tatum, and you didn't show up last night, man. Especially a game that could be a finals preview. Like, you're needed if you make it to the finals and you face the Denver Nuggets. You're going to be needed because there's no winning championship with Jason Tatum doesn't show up. Because Jamal Murray's going to show up. You gotta have an answer for him. Nickeil Jokic is definitely going to show up and need to have an answer for him. If it's not going to be Kristaps Porzingis, it got to be Jason Tatum. Stars got to match stars, even if they don't face each other. Stars got to match stars in the playoffs. That's how this works. So Jason Tatum, you need to bring it next time, man. And by the way, the Nuggets have swept the Boston Celtics because they went to Boston earlier. They beat Boston. I think they handed Boston their first loss, if I remember correctly, at home. Beat the brakes off them on that one, and then now they just want they defend the home court. So the Denver Nuggets swept the Boston Celtics, swept the best team in the land. There's nothing you can say about it. And finally, down in the Bay Area, with the Golden State Warriors hosting Chicago Bulls, the Bulls come out with a 3-point victory, 125-122. That would be the game where Steph Curry hurts the ankle that we talked about earlier in our Around the Horn segment. Kind of sucks to have that man have an ankle injury again. DeMar DeRozan came up big in the fourth quarter. I believe he had 33 points, 8 boards. Nikola Vucevic also matched DeMar DeRozan with 33 points. You got Kobe White with 20 points. So good contributions from your 3 starters right there. Curry only played 29 minutes, only gave you 15 points. Wiggins is still struggling. Klay Thompson came off the bench with 25 to lead all scorers for the Warriors. Draymond Green gave you a triple-double with 11, 10, and 12. But, when Steph Curry goes down, it's kind of hard to look at the Warriors as threats to do anything, but it is what it is on that one. So that what took place last night. Now going into the weekend, instead of doing them segment against the Wise, we're just going to do it all together. Tonight, we have the Pelicans at the Sixers at 7 p.m. ESPN doubleheader tonight, 7:30. The Minnesota Timberwolves are taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That should be a fun one to watch at 7:30. Also at 7:30, my Orlando Magics are in Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Knicks. Wise, good luck to you. But I hope y'all lose because I am enjoying that my Magic are inching closer and closer to 40 wins for a season for once. So, yeah, I want to get to 40 wins as quickly as I can. So, yeah, making 38 your team, I would love that. But let's see if we can do that. Speaking of one team in from Florida, the other team from Florida, the Miami Heat, coming off the loss to the Dallas Mavericks. They are in OKC to take on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder. That should be a fun one to see how Jimmy Butler fails against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander fails when Jimmy Butler's on him. And then your second of the ESPN doubleheader tonight takes us to the City of Angels, where LeBron James, who is questionable tonight, will take on Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. This should be an interesting game if LeBron plays. I want to see how Anthony Davis does against Giannis and Brook Lopez. I want to see how Dame does against D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. It's gonna be a fun one down in LA for in the Crypto.com arena for the Lakers and the Bucks. That's tonight. Tomorrow, got a couple of games for you to watch on NBA TV, 4 p.m. You have the Chicago Bulls who continue their LA trip, or their West Coast trip, shall I say. It is now in LA when they take on the Los Angeles Clippers. ABC Saturday Night Showcase takes us to the Valley, 8:30 p.m. The Phoenix Suns, led by Kevin Durant, hosting Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. And at 9 p.m., the Utah Jazz still fighting and clawing their way into a play-in spot, possibly a playoff spot. They are in the Mile High City to take on the defending champs of the Denver Nuggets. That is tomorrow. This begin your weekend. And Sunday, big day Sunday. Don't forget, this is a big day on Sunday for the NBA. Beginning at 3 p.m. with the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the other team from LA, the Los Angeles Clippers. Back at Crypto.com arena, Kawhi Leonard versus Giannis yet again. I'm looking forward to James Harden and Dame Dollar exchanging pleasantries on this one, along with Russell Westbrook when he comes in and spells Harden. That should be a fun one. That's at 6 p.m. Zion Williamson and the Pelicans take a trip down to the 30 South to take on Trae Young, who might be back. Don't know yet. We shall see. Javante Murray and the Atlanta Hawks. Also at 6 Mile, Orlando Magic, after facing off with the New York Knicks tonight, they head home on Sunday to take on the leading team in scoring, the Indiana Pacers. That should be a fun one in the East, okay? Hopefully my match will be at 38-26 by that time that game comes on Sunday. Looking to get win 39 against a team that loves to score a lot in the Indiana Pacers. That should be a fun one. That's the first part of Sunday. And then the next part of Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking around 7 o'clock, the ESPN doubleheader. 76ers, still without Joel Embiid, will be in Madison Square Garden against a worn down, beaten up Knicks, you know. Both teams are sliding around the race, and it's pretty much due to injuries, okay? Can't say it's bad play or style of play and whatnot. No, both teams are literally sliding because they're injured. Like, literally, they are literally injured. Like, Joel Embiid has not been there since, like, a month now. Still don't have Julius Randle for the Knicks. You don't know how Jalen Brunson's feeling. Okay, you still don't have OG and Anunoby. So both teams are beaten up right now, and whoever can survive this game more healthy will probably win this game. But that's on ESPN 7 o'clock. Also at 7 o'clock, they go to the land Cleveland, where the Cavaliers are hosting the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn needs as many wins as they can to catch the Hawks. They need 3 games behind the Hawks. So they need that win. They need the Hawks to lose to the Pelicans to keep pace with them and try to get that play-in spot. And then your second doubleheader on ESPN takes us back to Crypto.com arena as LeBron James and the Lakers take on Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So that is a lot going on right there. And real quick before I close out this NBA talk segment, let's look at the standings real quick. You have the 76ers in the 7th spot at 35-27. Indiana 8th at 35-29. Chicago and Atlanta Hawks running up the 10th spot. Yeah, as I said, the Brooklyn Nets are 3.5 games behind the Atlanta Hawks. So Pelicans do what they do in the ATL, and Brooklyn getting the win at Cleveland. That'll give them some closing room to the Hawks. Nevertheless, Boston, they still got 7.5 games up upon the Milwaukee Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers for the number 1 seed in the East. You know, so that should be fun. My Magic sitting at 4th place. You know, 3.5 games behind the Cavaliers, and I have a game above the Knicks, but we played the Knicks tonight, so we can handle business and beat the Knicks. That could create some distance in that one, and that is the East. On the West, Minnesota's on top at 44-19 with a half a game ahead of the Thunder, who are 43-19. A full game ahead of the champs, who are 43-20, with the Clippers sitting at 4th. Pelicans at 5th. Phoenix is at 6th. And here's the play-in spot right now in the West. The play-in spot. Sacramento Kings, Dallas Mavericks, Golden State Warriors, Los Angeles Lakers. So that's interesting right there. And we talking between Phoenix Suns, the Sacramento Kings, and the New Orleans Pelicans. We talking 2 games between the 3 of them for 5, 6, and 7. The Mavericks are 2 games behind the Kings, and both the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors are a game and a half behind the 8th team, which is the Dallas Mavericks. Got about 15 games left to go in the NBA, so a lot of moves still can be made, and we're going to see who can make it out the play-in and into the playoff, who's going to drop from the playoffs to the play-in, and who's going to mix it all together, all right? Got a lot to get into, but let's take our second break here, and when we come back, I'm going to give you an update on Champs of the Week for the Women's Conference Tournament. We'll be back.
The Playmaker Spot is sponsored by Lids. Locker Rooms by Lids. Shop hats and official sports gear at Lids. Lids, the leader and #1 destination for hats, gears, and everything that moves you. Make it a perfect shop for fans to find official sports hats, merchandise, and gears. Represent your team, your town, and your style with a snap hat, adjustable, fitted hat, or beanie from thousands of college and professional teams. Browse the very latest jerseys and t-shirts for the best teams out there. Lids has officially licensed professional and college sports teams apparel and hats featuring the hottest brands and trends. Shop online or visit one of the 100 stores across the country. Locker Rooms by Lids.
LA Ram fans all over the nation, LA Ram fans all across the world. It took 21 years, but hey, the Rams are Super Bowl champions once again. Down at the Playmaker Silence here, longtime Ram fan, and the host of the LA Rams podcast called Ramley Talk. On Ramley Talk, I tell you how it is, the good, the bad, the indifferent. Coming with straight facts with raw emotion and authentic viewpoint on the Los Angeles Rams. Don't matter what era you grew up in, it could be the Fearsome Foursome era, the greatest show on turf era, and of course, the Super Bowl 56 champions that are currently the Rams. You can listen to Ramley Talk on all streaming platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. So subscribe now and get all the content that you can get on the LA Rams. Horns up, Rams house. It's LA Rams football.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Shooting Lights Out. All right. Got some updates. Conference tournament week for the ladies. The ACC, as you can see here, Notre Dame took down Louisville 77-78 earlier today to move into the semifinals tomorrow at noon. And they'll see the winner between the Miami Hurricanes, who knocked out Deja Kelly, and the North Carolina Tar Heels. And they'll take on Virginia Tech. Right now, that game is at 7.5 minutes left in the third quarter, with Virginia Tech up 7-20 to 27. It's been a very low-scoring game here down there. I mean, that's either defense are not able to make shots. Maybe the subject here to be, on 7.5 minutes into the third quarter and only 47 points they put up. God, that's crazy right there. All right, so the winner of the Miami Virginia Tech game will get Notre Dame tomorrow at noon for the semifinals. You have later on out there at 5 o'clock, the Duke Blue Devils will take on the NC State Wolfpack, and then Florida State will take on Syracuse around 7:30 to close out quarterfinals day in the ACC. All right, that is the ACC. As we move on, let's head to the Big 12, shall we? And in the Big 12, ladies and gentlemen, we saw the Baylor Bears take down Texas Tech after Texas Tech took down Houston to win that game. They'll be facing off with Iowa State in the quarterfinals tomorrow. Going on right now is TCU and Oklahoma State. They are in the first quarter with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. The Horned Frogs with a 6-point lead, doubling up the Cowboys right now, 12-6. Later on today, around 6:30, BYU and Kansas will face off, with the winner of that game getting the second seed Texas. Also, the winner of the TCU Oklahoma State game gets the top seed Oklahoma. And then finally, Cincinnati and West Virginia will take place. The winner of that game will see Kansas State tomorrow. That is the Big 12. Let's head to the Big East because the Big East has gotten started. Okay. We saw Providence take down Butler 75 to 60. They get the number 1 seed. UConn tomorrow. We have Seton Hall and DePaul going at it right now. They are just under 5 minutes in the third quarter with Seton Hall leading 43 to 34. The winner of that game will see Creighton. And then later on around 4 p.m., Xavier versus Georgetown with the winner of that game taking on St. John's. But we all know we rolling with Gino Armia and the UConn Lady Huskies here to take care of that one and handle business. So that's that. All right. The Big Ten. We have an upset, ladies and gentlemen. The number 1 team in the Big Ten, the Ohio State Buckeyes, have been taken down by the Maryland Terrapins in dominant fashion, ladies and gentlemen. 82 to 61. The Lady Terrapins put it on the Buckeyes, sending the number 1 team packing to get ready for the NCAA tournament. And the turnaround started in the second quarter. After Ohio State went up on the first quarter, 17 to 12. The Lady Terrapins outscored the Buckeyes in the second quarter, 26 to 13. So taking a 5-point deficit turned into an 8-point lead at halftime, and they didn't look back from there. Outscoring the Buckeyes in the second half, 44 to 31 to win by 21 points. The Maryland Terrapins are off to the semifinals, and the Lady Buckeyes are going home. What does this loss do to Chris Cream, to Charlie Cream, and those who are in bracketology for the ladies? Does that move Ohio State out of the top seed, maybe a second seed, and put them as a third seed with a loss to Maryland like this in the Big Ten tournament? Congratulations to the Lady Terrapins. Big upset of Champ Week is here. Number 1, Ohio State down, top seed down. Coming up around about 15 minutes from now, our second Big Ten quarterfinal matchup in Minnesota, where the Nebraska Cornhuskers will do battle against the Michigan State Spartans. The winner of that game will be meeting Maryland in the semifinals tomorrow, and then around 6:30, Clayton and Clark takes the court. And the third-ranked Iowa Hawkeyes, the second seed in the Big Ten tournament, will face off against Penn State. And then the nightcap for quarterfinals day in the women's Big Ten conference tournament, Michigan will take on Indiana. Could we see an Indiana-Iowa rematch in the semifinals? Or would another big-time team get upsetted by a Michigan or a Penn State? So it's going to be interesting here. No Ohio State, so there'll be no Ohio State in the championship game because they are out of here. Congratulations once again to the Lady Terrapins of Maryland. Shout out to Scott Van Pelt. Pretty sure he probably talked about that when he do Sports in the night while his ladies took down the number 1 team in the Big Ten. All right, let's go to the Pac-12. Because in the Pac-12, we're down to semifinal actions in the Pac-12. We saw Colorado hang on to beat Oregon to begin on Wednesday, and California took down Washington State. Arizona took down Washington, and Utah took down Arizona. And then on yesterday, Oregon State survives Colorado. Stanford comes back to beat California after being down at halftime. Juju Watson and the Trojans handle business against Arizona. And, of course, UCLA Lady Bruins handle business against Utah, which sets up our semifinals today beginning at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our first semifinals matchup is the number 1 team in the Pac-12, the Stanford Cardinals, going up against the 4th seed Oregon State Beavers. Oregon State caught Stanford before. Can they do it again, or will Stanford remember that loss and handle business and get to the championship game as expected? And then on the other side, It's the Battle of LA round 3. UCLA won in UCLA. USC won at USC. Round 3 is in Vegas. Winner goes to the championship game. Juju Watson. Can she pull the Trojans with her to the Pac-12 championship game? Or when UCLA will remind the world that we used to be the team that y'all talked about. But we slipped a bit and we trying to get back right. Battle of LA right after Stanford, Oregon State. This should be a fun one in the Pac-12. Like those of you who watch when Megan Press was on her, shout out to the Queen of Hoops. She said, pay attention to the Pac-12. You can't get no better matchup with 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and all them teams we already know about. So it's going to be a fun one. Beginning at 8 p.m. on the Pac-12 network, and then followed by the Battle of LA between UCLA and USC. All right. And then that brings us to the Southeastern Conference. So we saw Kentucky take down Georgia, my Lady Gators take down Missouri, and then on yesterday, Texas A&M beats Mississippi State, Tennessee beats Kentucky, Auburn beats Arkansas, and my Lady Gators shocked the world, took down Vanderbilt. Didn't see that coming. So where he is today, and then the top team in all of college basketball, the top team, the South Carolina Gamecocks handled business against Texas A&M earlier today, winning 79-68. All right, they have moved to the semifinals tomorrow. They'll see the winner of Tennessee and Alabama, and right now that game is 2 minutes. They got 2 minutes left in the first quarter with Tennessee holding a 17-12 lead right now over Alabama. Then after that game, we will have the Auburn Tigers taking on Angel Reese and the reigning defending LSU Tigers, the champions that they are. And this is usually around the time when Angel Reese and company start getting together, start understanding that there's no more time for slippage or anything. This is conference tournament. We need to take this momentum into the main tournament and handle business. So Auburn, LSU, they split their regular season meeting with Auburn knocking them off in Auburn and LSU got them back. Round 3 is here. Let's see how that goes. And the surprising team outside of Maryland for conference tournament so far, my Lady Gators. Y'all taking on the 3rd seed Ole Miss. That's the nightcap, 8:30 on the SEC network. If my ladies pull this one off, oh my gosh, I don't have nothing to say. I don't even know what to say. And plus, I'm already ready for Shaq's daughter to hurt and get to campus right now because she's committed to Florida. I can't wait to see her come to Florida next year. Hopefully she can do some things. But right now, the ladies, this is pretty much their only shot to get to the tournament. And then they trying to make a run here. You took down Missouri, you shot Vanderbilt, the 6th seed. If you shot number 3 tonight, man, most likely you're going to run the LSU, and that's probably where the story ends. But I'm just saying. That's why one of the famous sports personality named Chris Berman, Boomer, used to always say, that's why they play the game. Because they thought this off. We might see some stuff going on here. I'm just throwing it out there. But, yep. Those where we at right now for conference tournament for the ladies. As Champ Week continues on. We getting to it. We starting to see some things happening. We're getting closer and closer to starting to get some, how I put this, conference tournament champions crowned very shortly. So with that being said, allow me to take one final break. And after this final break here, we go to the men's side of college basketball and wrap up their regular season, as this is the final weekend for them before they going into conference tournament play. So we'll be back. Once again, shout out to the Lady Terrapins of Maryland knocking off the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Welcome to Ringside Chaos, the professional wrestling discussion segment of the Bear of Texas podcast. The only professional wrestling podcast in the world where pro wrestling is discussed passionately, with confidence, with great knowledge, and most of all, in the most sophisticated way. So brace yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, because chaos is about to be unleashed. Thing with Tony Khan now being in talks to buy WWE, I'm going to be honest with you. I spoke to this with Ricky Litwinkowicz, aka the Master of Mayhem, and he honestly believes that me talking about Tony Khan buying WWE is basically I'm kind of wasting my time because Ricky believes it's never going to happen. Okay, now don't get me wrong, Ricky, I respect what he says. He could very well be correct, but I got to be honest with you. The fact that Khan is interested in supposedly buying WWE, to me, that's definitely worth talking about. Now, I should mention this. Shout out to Ricky, by the way. And I gotta mention this, that even Jim Cornette already had something to say. And he said, and I quote, "Ridiculous to think that could happen," unquote. A wrestling fan that's been super supportive of Brody Lee as a wrestler and everything that WWE could have done with him and, everything that he could have shown and, offered for the wrestling business. For me, I wasn't just a fan of Brody Lee himself, like in character. I strongly respected him, as a human being. Like, I had a lot of respect for Jonathan Huber. That's Mr. Brody Lee's real name. So basically, I had a lot of respect for Brody Lee, Luke Harper, and of course, Mr. Jonathan Huber. Particular episode was about World Class Championship Wrestling. And the episode title is, WCCW Wrestling's Lone Star Legacy. And because I am the Bear of Texas, and I do hail from the Dallas-Fort Worth area of the state of Texas, World Class Championship Wrestling was basically my territory as far as being a wrestling fan goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Ringside Chaos is available on all streaming platforms including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube.
The Playmakers Bar is proudly sponsored by Fanatics. Fanatics, the #1 shop where sports fans across the world love to get their sports gear and fandom on. A wide selection of gears from every league, including the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, the NCAA, and of course, the WWE. Whether it is football, basketball, baseball, hockey, even soccer, golf, no matter what sport it is, there's sports appeal for every fan of every sport. Fanatics, where sports fans shop and official license everything.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Shooting Lights Out. We're about to close up shop here today. Got one thing left to do, and that's talk men's college basketball because it is the final week. So to begin it off, look here, we had the UConn Huskies sweep this season series with Marquette winning 74-67. The Tennessee Volunteer, if you was here for the beginning, you know that the Tennessee Volunteer has clinched the outright regular season title for the Southeastern Conference. They did that with a 66-59 win in Columbia over the South Carolina Gamecocks. Iowa State got a home win over BYU 68-63. And again, I thought it would be a little more high scoring than that, but hey, it is what it is. And then the Apple Cup between the Washington Huskies and the Washington Cougs, with Washington State taking a home L to the Washington Huskies, 74-68. Now, regular season champions, here you go. This is what I mean. The ACC, the North Carolina Tar Heels, clinched a share of the ACC title because Duke can clinch a share with a win on tomorrow. Same thing with the Iowa State Cyclones, as they can clinch a share of the Big 10, of the Big 12 title, should I say, with Houston with a win tomorrow and a Houston loss on tomorrow. Your outright champions for the Biggies is, of course, the UConn Huskies. For the Big 10, the Purdue Boilermakers. For the Pac-12, the Arizona Wildcats. And we just mentioned it from the SEC, the Tennessee Volunteers. All right. Now, the ACC is really interesting because, we all know who plays each other this Saturday. And it's going to be in Cameron Indoor. So, pretty much who wins that game pretty much has inside track foot who probably gets the number one seed in the ACC tournament. Most likely, no matter what happens between Houston tomorrow, I still believe they'll probably be the one seed going into conference tournament, and Iowa State would be the 2 seed, regardless of that. So that should be fun. On the bubble, that's just the final weekend for men's teams that probably need to make some wins. Last 4 byes, according to Jordan Otter, are the Colorado State Rams, the TCU Horned Frogs, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and the Seton Hall Pirates. Those are your last 4 byes. Your last 4 in: the Villanova Wildcats, the New Mexico Lobos, the St. John's Redstone, and the Virginia Cavaliers. Your first 4 out are the Providence Flyers, the Colorado Buffaloes, the Iowa Hawkeyes, the Utah Utes, and then the next 4 out is Penny Hardaway and the Memphis Tigers, the Wake Forest Demon Dinkins, the Pitt Panthers, and the Drake Bulldogs. This is just right now. That's as of today. You still got tomorrow and Sunday to get through. Then you got conference tournament before we really get an idea of what Jordan Nard's season, what's going to happen in his bracketology. Speaking of his bracketology, I took the liberty, because I did it with the ladies, the top 16 teams, the top 4 seeds going into this final weekend. And here we go. Your top 4 seeds: Purdue would be the number 1 overall team, followed by UConn, Houston, and Tennessee. Tennessee got moved up to the 1 line. Arizona got moved to the 2 line, where they sit there with Duke, North Carolina, and Iowa State. Your 3 seeds as of today would be Marquette, Kansas, Creighton, and Baylor. And then your 4 seeds would be Illinois, Alabama, Auburn, and Kentucky. That's it. That's if the tournament was to happen right now. Those would be your top 16 teams and your 4 number 1 seeds, your 4 2 seeds, your 4 3 seeds, and your 4 4 seeds right there. And not to mention, you're talking 4 from the SEC. You got, 2 from the ACC. You got 2 from the Big Ten. You got 1 from the Pac-12. That's going out of business. And then you have Houston, Arizona, Kansas, Baylor from the Big 12. That's 4. You throw in Marquette and UConn for the Big East. It's interesting. Like I said, it's the final week. Anything can happen. Speaking of which, tonight, speaking of some key games, Drayton, the 25th team in the land, the Dayton Flyers, should I say? I say Drayton. Dayton Flyers are at home against VCU. VCU can use a big upset victory of a ranked team to help get them in the tournament. And speaking of another team that can help them get to the tournament, the Boise State Broncos, they are at 21st ranked San Diego State. That's a good form. Those games are tonight, ESPN2 and FS1 respectively. But we all know the main event begins tomorrow. And tomorrow, we're starting with Iowa State. They are in Manhattan, Kansas to take on the Kansas State Wildcats at 2 p.m. on ESPN2. Kansas State can get a big win and help get them a shot into making a tournament. But Iowa State wants to share that Big 12 title, so that should be a fun one to watch. 2:30 on Fox. The Villanova Wildcats hosting the Creighton Blue Jays. As you just noticed, Villanova's the last 4 in. A win over Creighton will put them in. Could solidify them spots in. But the win over the number 10 team in the nation. Okay? That's at 2:30. Also at 2:30 on the SEC Network, the Mississippi State Bulldogs, who are on the last 4 byline, or as of right now, according to Jordan Nard, they are hosting 17-ranked South Carolina, who's coming off the loss to Tennessee, which gave Tennessee the SEC outright title. Mississippi State needs it. Mississippi State needs it. And we did say a loss by Houston, well, along with the Iowa State win, would give Iowa State a share of the Big 12 title, right? Well, Houston is bringing in the 14th-ranked team in the land, and the team who usually owns the Big 12, and that is the Kansas Jayhawks. The second meeting between the Jayhawks and the Crews, with the Crews took the L at Allen's Fairhouse. Now, can they repay the favor to Bill Self and the Jayhawks and give them an L while they defend home court? That's at 4 p.m. on ESPN. Also at 4 p.m. on CBS. Even though Tennessee has won the SEC outright, You don't want to miss this one. John Calipari versus Rick Barnes. It is Volunteer versus Wildcats down at Rocky Top of Knoxville, Tennessee. Remember when they faced off at Rupp Arena? Probably last month in Tennessee ran Kentucky out of their own building. Kentucky would like to pay them back and beat Tennessee in their own building now to get a big road win. But the way Tennessee is playing, they look like a top 4 team, which is why they are on the one line according to Jordan Nolly. So I have no questions about that. But yeah, 2 top premier games at 4 p.m. ESPN, Kansas at Houston, on CBS, Kentucky at Tennessee. I will be watching both games. I will be watching both games tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. I'll kid you. I will be here at my house or my apartment, should I say. I will be watching both games. I want to see how all 4 of these teams play in their last game of their regular season and who looks good and who doesn't going into conference tournament play. I'm looking forward to these 2 days. All right. But that's just the first part of tomorrow. Let's go to part 2 of tomorrow, okay? Because part 2 says Baylor is at Texas Tech. And I do believe Texas Tech can use a big win like that over Baylor, even though I do believe Texas Tech is going to make the field anyway. That's at 6 p.m. at ESPN2. Game of the week, 6:30 ESPN. Tobacco Road, number 9 Duke, hosting number 7 North Carolina. With North Carolina already clinching the share of the ACC. With a Duke win on Saturday, they will also clinch a share of the ACC and probably get the 1 seed for the ACC tournament. But if North Carolina wins it outright, they'll be the 1 seed. Duke will be the 2 seed. So big game. College game day will be in Cameron indoors for this matchup, and rightfully so, because it is the biggest rivalry in college basketball. It is Duke and Carolina. There's nothing else to it. Nevertheless, we should see what happens. That's at 6:30. 8 p.m. on Fox. The number 2 team in the land, the UConn Huskies, they are taking on the Providence Fires. And if you notice, Providence on the first 4 out line, okay? First 4 out. Providence is there. If they can somehow pull off a massive, and I do mean massive upset over UConn, they will be in the tournament regardless. Because you beat number 2 in the land. I don't see it happening. I give it a 5% chance, to be honest. Oh, you say you always give a home team a puncher's chance. I'm giving them a 5% chance to knock off UConn. I'm going 95% UConn, okay? I'm not giving Providence a hell of bees of a chance. They got 2 chances, slim and none. All right. And then finally, the New Mexico Lobos, who are on the last 4 in line, they are at Utah State, who is ranked 22nd as the Aggies. That should be a big one. New Mexico needs it. They got to have it because a loss could be detrimental, depending on how other teams play around them, because right now they are on the last 4 in line. So you got Villanova, St. John's, and Virginia on that line with them. And then on the first 4 out, Providence, Colorado, Iowa, and Utah. So New Mexico is not in the clear. They need to get this big road win at Utah State to feel a little more comfortable about them being in the tournament. All right. That's tomorrow, as I can see. That's a stacked lineup tomorrow. That is literally 1, 2, 5, 6, 10 games tomorrow. So you have no excuse of not watching basketball tomorrow. You have 10 premier games to watch with the final regular season games being played. 10 of them starting from 2 o'clock all the way up to 8:30 that are meaningful, okay? And then tomorrow we close it out and you close it out Sunday with Wisconsin at Purdue. Wisconsin needs it. Wisconsin's been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Wisconsin needs a win. And to do it against the number 3 team in the land will be vital. That's 12:30 on Fox. And then at 7 p.m. on FS1, the 12th ranked Final Nine Lives of Illinois, that'll be at Iowa City. Iowa will take on the Iowa Hawkeyes, and the Hawkeyes need it. They own the first 4 line out along with Providence. If they can knock off number 12, they can feel comfortable about getting in the tournament. All right. So, and speaking of tournament, ladies and gentlemen, as I get ready to close it out here, like I said, you have a field day of basketball this weekend, especially on the men's side, with all these games that stay last final statement. That's why it's the name of the show. It's final statement time for the men's college basketball because that's what it is. That's what it is. I literally gave you team. You have Villanova got a big game. Mississippi State got a big game. New Mexico got a big game. Providence got a big game. Iowa got a big game to look at. I mean, what more do you want? Okay, you have Villanova going against Creighton. You have Kansas State going against Iowa State. Mississippi State hosting South Carolina, okay? You have Texas Tech hosting Baylor. Providence hosting UConn, and New Mexico on the road to Utah State. It's a big game. And you also got Wisconsin at Purdue, and you got Iowa hosting the Final Nine of Illinois. Big games. You can't miss it, okay? And speaking of conference tournament play, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see here on the screen, tomorrow is also the beginning of us crowning champions of conference tournament. You have the Ohio Valley champions for both the men and the women tomorrow. You'll have the Atlanta Sun men's crowned on Sunday, the Big South men crowned on Sunday, the Missouri Valley men's crowned on Sunday, and also on Sunday, the A-10 for the women's will be crowned, the ACC, the Big South, the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the SEC, and the Southern all being crowned on Sunday. So you literally have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the men, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the ladies. So by the end of the weekend, there'll be 12 teams who have punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament because they won the conference tournament with the automatic bid. So, like I said last week, if you haven't noticed and if you don't know, I'm gonna let you show you again. Right here, ladies and gentlemen, on our website, the Playmakers Blog website, we got your NCAA conference tournament tracker here. So this will be updated starting tomorrow with the Ohio Valley Conference being crowned for both the men and the women. And you see, here's the women's right here. This will be updated continuously as champions are being crowned here. So make sure you refer to this. The link will be in the show notes so that you know who's getting the automatic bid, okay? That way you know who's getting the automatic bid. You already know who's going to be in the tournament, so you can prepare yourself for when the brackets come out. You already have an idea who's in there, but you just don't know who they're playing against. So that's what that is right there. Thank you guys for joining in today and joining me today on this Friday, this Real Good Friday here, March 8, 2024. Nevertheless, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I am the Playmaker signing off. Enjoy y'all weekend.
You've done great, but you can't stop here. You can't stop now. You gotta keep going. Through all your trials and your tribulations, you gotta keep pushing. Now, finish your canvas.
Yeah, gotta get it out the mud, that's the only way to win. Who am I to point the finger like I never ever seen? Been through the ups and downs like the letter N. They don't let you through the door, better kick that again. Cause that's the only way to win. That's the only way to go. Gotta get it out the mud, gotta get it out the floor. Cause that's the only way to go, let's go.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you want to follow the podcast, you can follow it on all streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and a whole lot more. This has been Shooting the Lights Out.